Well, this morning came the news that Ole Solskjaer was sacked by Manchester United, after which he gave an interview to the club's TV station.
I've given everything for this club. The club means everything to me, and together we're a good match. But unfortunately, I couldn't get the results that we needed, and it's time for me to step aside. Michael's going to be in charge. I've got the utmost respect. I love Michael to bits. Becoming emotional now because he's top, and they'll be fine. I'll watch them and support them.
George, Jermaine, for United fans, that is tough to watch because whatever the rights and wrongs of his management have been, you know, he's a decent man who has played a huge part in that club's history.
Yeah, I think people are very quick to forget the job that Ole Solskjaer has actually done at that football club and where he picked it up from when it was in not a fragile place, but there was a lot of issues with individual players at that football club whose confidence had been broken down. It was a football club that needed bringing together, I felt, at that particular time. It was
fractured after Mourinho.
It was fractured after Mourinho, and I think in that period of time he did a fantastic job of getting some belief and bringing everybody kind of back and actually looking at Manchester United as a club that I think the fans was much more proud of again, with him kind of leading. I think where it was always going to break down was just the experience that Ole Solskjaer has as a coach, is essentially that. And I think that is what happened in the end. I think the game yesterday was, for me, a culmination of bad performances over a period of time. I think, in my opinion, Ole's tenure just ran maybe 6 months to a year too long. I think with it going as far as it did, it's really ended on a really negative and horrible note. But let's not remember, he was brought in as an interim manager, and he did such a great job that they've given him the job, for that whole period of time. It's sad the way it's ended. It's part of the game. It is kind of what it is when it comes to football management. But I think with the experience that he came into the role in, he's done a brilliant job, and he should be walking away with his head held high.
The squad look really fragile at the moment. They look like morale and confidence is rock bottom. So how does Michael Carrick, who's been part of the coaching team, so how does the current coaching team under Solskjaer, how do they get some kind of confidence back in the short term?
Do you know what? I think it's the same with anything. I think any team would lose confidence on the back of a few bad results and different things. And as you mentioned there, it's confidence. And I think a lot of the time it goes beyond football, if I'm being honest with you. I think the week might be able to change. New voices, I think a new schedule, maybe coming in at a different time, breakfast at a different time, gym at a different... But just different things. I think sometimes that when things are going a certain way and results aren't going your way, it's the same at most football clubs. You'll know as well, JJ, that when things get a little bit stale and things are the same every single day, it does become a bit stale, whereas I think now it might be a little bit important to maybe change a few little things here and there, but... It's
not just the training or what happens on the field, then, that's what you're saying?
No, I think it goes beyond football. I don't just think it's what we see of a Saturday. I think it goes beyond football, and I think it's something where them things become important now, where, like I said, you get to change a routine. Little things happen within the training ground where you can change this and change that and start thinking about different things to obviously help you move forward.
OK, let's end the programme in the similar nature to how we started it, talking about Ole Solskjaer at Manchester United after his sacking at the club following a 3-year spell, and that after their 4-1 defeat away to Watford on Saturday. In the last few moments, Solskjaer has been speaking publicly for the first time to the official Manchester United channels on his departure from the club.
I've had the opportunity, and I'm so honoured and privileged to have been trusted to take the club forward, and I really hope that I leave it in a better state than when I came. And I made great friends. I've reconnected with some great friends, new staff coming in. I've become really good friends with the other staff that was here when I was there. We're good friends, and we've connected, and that's what it's about at a club like this, with the fans, because the fans have been amazing from day one at Cardiff till the last one now. So top, and we'll see each other again.
It's not often you hear from an outgoing manager in the Premier League. What did you make of that, Tim?
I don't know what to make of that, to be perfectly honest. He's obviously very emotional. They've given him the platform I never saw Jose Mourinho do that, or Van Gaal, or David Moyes when they left. Obviously, felt
But he's
like,
a club legend. Does that make it different as a player?
obviously, yeah. Obviously, they give him the platform to go and put things right. Where if they feel like he's done anything wrong, I mean, he was probably shocked by the reaction yesterday from the fans when he went over to him with his hands in the air, apologising for the performance. But listen, I'm sure Ole wants to continue on the journey as being a football manager, and I wish him well in the future. But just weren't. I thought it was a bad appointment in the first place, and I'm sure he'll get a job somewhere else and take it on.
Anything surprise you from that interview?
Yeah, it was all. I mean, it's all nicey, isn't it? I mean, he is a club legend for what he has done and the goals that he'd scored and what he'd won with the football club. I mean, it's difficult. It's a difficult one to take on because I didn't understand the statement. I thought that was very messy. This is all very nicey. Well, we're going to do it if there is a nice way. We're going to sack you. We're going to get rid of you. We don't think you're good enough to take us to where we want to be, but we're going to give you a nice platform to say goodbye. Yeah, it's different.
It is what it is now.
Absolutely.
And as is the way these days, players take to social media to convey their messages. And a few Manchester United players have done just that. Harry Maguire saying, you signed me for the best club in the world and gave me the biggest honour in football. Huge respect and forever grateful. Thank you for everything, boss. Legend. David De Gea, who spoke brutally, honestly, it has to be said, in the wake of that Watford defeat. You always gave everything and everyone knows you are a legend at Manchester United. Marcus Rashford has always also taken to social media, very simply put this, club legend with an emoji at the end. And Paul Pogba, no stranger to social media, all the best, boss. Thanks for all the good moments. Now, what was interesting, we spoke to Owen Hargreaves earlier because now United find themselves in this rather curious situation, 40-day period in which they play 11 games, which in itself is no mean feat. Michael Carrick now takes temporary charge with the current coaching staff that was already behind Solskjaer. He feels, for Michael Carrick, he's now been put into a no-win situation in many respects. Do you have some sympathy in that and the fact that United are looking for a temporary appointment between now and the end of the season?
I don't agree with the no-win situation. I don't agree with it being unfair. They had to do something. They had to, because quite clearly, being battered off Liverpool, being battered off City, being battered off Watford, it wasn't working. So something had to change. He knows the football club. He knows the players. It can't get any worse.
Yeah.
Put it that way. What it tells you is it's been a lack of planning from upstairs. They surely should have expected this. They should have looked into it after the two previous results against City and against Liverpool. So they have to take responsibility as well in terms of also giving it to a caretaker manager, then announcing there's going to be another interim manager until the end of the season. That suggests to me is that the guy who they perhaps want is not available now, but may be available come the summer.
Does that point to anyone in particular for you, Tim?
For me, it screams Mauricio Pochettino. I think he wins at PSG this year. I think he wins the title. He's almost won it already in that league, which is very uncompetitive. But I think everyone pointed the finger at him and said, you never won before. So he's gone away. He's going to win. He's going to go deep into the Champions League as well. And I think he will be a perfect choice for the board of directors and the group of players, what they have. And even if they didn't make a signing, but the one signing was Mauricio Pochettino, he would take this group to be a top 4 team, that's for sure. But that's not where Man United want to be.
No.
It'd be funny if Carrick did what Solskjaer did.
And won.
When he was an interim
Absolutely,
manager.
and went on that stunning run to begin with. But, yeah, maybe play devil's advocate on that front. But what would be interesting is, would they get a sporting director in as well to help whoever comes in next?
Possibly, yeah. There's an outgoing chief executive in terms of Woodward. So, yeah, they may look at the whole structure in terms of what they want to do and who they want to make the big decisions, because I think this has been very messy.
Big decision, this next one for the United board,
but
isn't it?
even without bringing any players in, this group of players are underachieving at the football club. Someone can get the best out of them and still achieve something at Manchester United, which is the biggest club in the world.
OK.
Well, it's always sad to see a club legend leave, especially one like Ole Solskjaer, who has huge history at Manchester United. But the straw that broke the camel's back as such, Leon, was the 4-1 defeat to Watford. I don't think the club had any choice but to make that decision.
No, it was inevitable, really. It's something that everybody looking at the club from the outside has seen coming. Results have been poor. Performances have probably been worse. There doesn't look like it was a possibility to change that round. And, you know, the way they fell apart in that final stage of that game just summed it all up, really. And a very emotional interview. Strange that you see an outgoing manager giving interviews on the same day that he loses his job. But that shows, I feel, that how Manchester United still feel about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, despite his tenure not working out as successfully as they thought it would.
I think they wanted it to work, didn't they? They really wanted it to work for him, because they would have made this decision surely after the Liverpool defeat or the Man City defeat if they were going to make change into the international break. But they wanted to see him succeed. But that result yesterday, I mean, there was nothing good about that.
Yeah, I watched some of it, and I think exactly the same as you. I thought there was no fight. Didn't really look like there was any passion. And to me, Watford just bullied them and played a lot better than them and got the result they wanted. But I still think the sacking personally was just at a strange time in general. Now they're in a position where they're maybe looking for another interim manager which I don't think anybody will take that job for such a short space of time or leave where they are to go and take that job. But I think Carrick has just got to go in and just get the guys playing and fighting and playing the way Man United know how to play, and that's entertaining crowds and scoring goals and creating loads of chances.
And that's exactly what the fans want to see. But if we just backtrack a little bit, at the beginning of the season, it wasn't too bad. They won 4 of their first 5 games and things were going OK. They then had these incredible new signings to work with. But then to pick up 4 points from a possible 21, how did it go so wrong? Where did it go so wrong?
Well, I bet you Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wishes he could go back and analyse it and try and figure it out, because you're right. At the start of the season, there was talk that Manchester United, with the incoming signings, would be having a real go at the title, really involved in the championship race this season. And yeah, it started well, but you know, you've got to perform at that level over the course of an entire season. You can't just do it for short spells. Whether, as the talk has been, bringing in a figure such as Cristiano Ronaldo changes the way that the team had set up and the style. They'd become quite good on the counter-attack, and they were very good away from home. Their away record had been exemplary. And it did change things a little bit for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But, you know, the fundamentals should still be the same. The way they play, you'd expect, should still be the same. They're all, when they're having tough moments and tough runs, which every team will during the course of the season, you fall back to what you know. And I feel that's where Manchester United fell short. They didn't know what to fall back to. They didn't have a set style of play, and they didn't have a basic fallback routine. And I think ultimately when the going got tough, that's what let them down.
But it's strange, because as former players, when you're in a situation which is really, really tough, like the Manchester United players have found themselves in, do you not come together as players and just say, look, we need to sort this out between us?
Yeah, most definitely. It's happened to me. I think a few clubs that we've had to come together and say, look, this is not just on the manager here. Like, we're representing ourselves as well as the club and the manager, and we're players of a certain standard. You don't want to lose. You always have that winning mentality. Losing is not nice. I've been with City when it's been ups and downs, and some games you think you're going to win and they go and score the other end, and then you end up losing 3 or 4-0. Now, you don't want that mentality to creep in, especially at a team like United, who are used to winning trophies and fighting for Champions League places more often than none. So for me, you naturally just come together, and they got fantastic players there that would most probably on a one-off day beat most teams if they play well. But that's the fact of the matter. They ain't playing well consistently, and I think that's what's hurting them.
But that's it. But you can say players will get together, and they will, and they'll come together and they'll work hard, and we've got to get us out of this. And there are games and moments where that desire will get you through a game, and it might get you a victory in a game. But over a longer period, you need direction. You need somebody showing you exactly what style you're playing, what the tactics might be. You can then buy into that as a team, and we're in this together, and we both know we're going to run down the right in this game, or we're going to get crosses in, or we're high press this game.
but you still need the direction. But I think that's what they didn't
might
have.
be like a kickstart for them, you know, the coming togetherness for them. Because I think, like we've spoken about before, that them as a team, they're fantastic individuals, but on the pitch, they don't play like they know what they're meant to be doing. Now, if they get on one...
And we're in this together, and we both know we're going to run down the right in this game, or we're going to get crosses in, or we're high press this game. But you still need the direction.
But
I think that's what they didn't
might
have.
be like a kickstart for them, you know, the coming togetherness for them. Because I think, like we've spoken about before, that them as a team, they're fantastic individuals, but on the pitch, they don't play like they know what they're meant to be doing. Now, if they get on one page together as a team, then Ole's stuff may help as well. Like you said, the guidance and the structure and everything, then it might come together, but they're not playing like a team that is Man United. We played against Man United and we've been on the end of some pummelings, both of us. And the crosses keep coming, and no matter how hard you try or how much effort you put in, Man United just used to dominate. Now, even if they do dominate, they don't create that many clear-cut chances where you think, oh, this could be 3 or 4-0 here. It's like one goal and that's...
But who's responsible for that then?
I think you always have to look at the manager. That's where the direction comes from. That's where the style comes from. That's where everything... The book will always stop, regardless of players. And, you know, if you're going to go and play Manchester City, we've seen Everton play Manchester City today, and you know that they will wear you down with possession and really get you back to the wall, and eventually they'll get their goal from the style of football that they play. Manchester United's style can change weekly, depending on who's playing well individually or who they're up. Got that, this is what we are and this is how we play style. And I do think that that's what let them down. Players need a direction to run in. They need guidance. They need...
Like a roadmap, like a blueprint. This is what you're doing.
Yes, they need to understand, and then you can all galvanise and work hard, but we all know we're a high-pressing team. And we'll be able to galvanise around that idea. And I just think Manchester United haven't been able to do it. And you've seen from results, you've seen from performances.
Those stats we just saw as well.
We've seen those stats there that those stats aren't good enough for Manchester United, for the team, for the guy who's the head of the club.
And you know what I thought was really concerning was David De Gea's post-match interview yesterday, where he said, we don't know what to do with the ball. We don't know how to defend. It's just not good enough. And I thought that was quite a shock to hear him say that.
It's quite a shock for me to hear him say that as well. But it's very open, and like we've all said, that would set off some major alarm bells, especially if one of your main and your biggest players for the last 5 years, at least minimum, have come out and said that. People are going to start asking questions like, what are you actually doing in training if you don't actually know what you're doing or how to defend? That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a cry for help, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It's a cry to help for the outside world. And I think if a player is coming in and basically saying, as a group of players, we don't know what we're doing with and without the ball. And these are top international players coming out publicly saying that. So I think that was the final moment where you knew that the end was coming.
The thoughts from the team on Matchday Live earlier on today. Well, I'm delighted now to say that Michael Owen joins us live on the show. Hello, Michael.
Hi, everyone. How are we?
Hi, very well. Lovely to see you. Now, it's obviously been a rather dramatic day in the Premier League before a ball was even kicked with the sacking of Ole Solskjaer. Interested to know, what were your thoughts when you heard the news?
Not surprised at all, Seema. You know, it's been an awful run from Manchester United for quite a while now. I think every time that Ole Solskjaer has been under pressure, he seems to have picked up a result that may have just almost prolonged the stay of execution in a way. But this latest run of the last few games, you know, losing the derby like he did, losing to Liverpool convincingly, and then of course this one against Watford was just too bad really to continue. And I'm not surprised at all that the powers at Manchester United have acted. It's very sad to see any manager go when Ole Solskjaer is a genuine good guy. So it's even worse when you see his interviews and things like that. But it's a cutthroat game. He's not getting the results. That squad, that team is far, far better than it's showing on a consistent basis. No option but to say goodbye, sadly.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we were talking earlier about the fact that I think everybody at the club wanted it to work for him. They wanted him to succeed because they would have got rid of him after the Liverpool result or the Manchester City result. But sadly, yesterday was just the final nail in the coffin. Moving forward, though, Michael, when we think about, obviously, Michael Carrick taking interim charge, is that going to be enough, do you think? Or do you think they need to act quickly and bring somebody in? I mean, we've seen a list of contenders, but what are your thoughts from Manchester United moving forward, and how quickly do they need to act?
Asima, I just don't see, at the moment, I just think it's the worst possible time to sack your manager. Not necessarily because of the timing of the league or whatever, but just because of what's available. I think Manchester United are just going to have to, just wait and just let Michael Carrick take it on for. I mean, it can't get worse than it has been. So I think if I was in charge of Manchester United at the minute, I'd just think, do you know what? Not many of those contenders are good enough. You look at the top there, Zinedine Zidane. I obviously played with him at Real Madrid. Great manager. He's had some, a lot of success with a great Real Madrid team, but he's never really. Well, first of all, his English is very, very average, and I'm not sure you can come into a huge job like this and not talk the language. Going down the list, Brendan Rodgers, obviously a top manager. Will the Liverpool connection do no favours? Leicester certainly not doing great at the moment, so that's probably harming his chances. If he was interested, I'm sure most of these managers would be interested. Wow, I mean, Manchester United are one of the best clubs in the world. I think that the most realistic on that list, personally, is Pochettino. I'm not sure he's enjoying his time at Paris Saint-Germain. I think he would jump at the chance. I think he loves the Premier League. I think there's been a link there before. But the only thing with Pochettino, I think they'd have to wait till the end of the season for him. And my gut feel is that you're best waiting for the right person rather than just jump into it again. Man United have appointed some unbelievable managers over the years. They've got to get this one right. And if it means you're going to have to wait, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever it might be, to get the right person, then I think that's what they've got to do.
And of course, the priority really now is the games that are coming up, because they've got some really, really big games, starting with Villarreal in the Champions League. And we've seen where they are in the group. I mean, they have to pick up points. If they drop points, they have a risk of dropping out of the Champions League knockout stages.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of games are so different.
Sorry, go on, Michael.
Sorry, Liam.
Sorry, that was my fault. I should have said Leon.
Yeah, no, they're in a precarious position. I think they were obviously trying to get through this run of games with Ole still in charge of the club. Obviously, wasn't to be the case, but yeah, they're playing Villarreal, they play Chelsea, they play Arsenal. Big games coming up for a guy that's never managed a game before in Michael Carrick. So, yeah, I mean, I was surprised, especially in the talk of interim. I still think you're saying that they need to wait. Is this not Manchester United, the biggest club in the world, and should they not have in mind who they want for their next manager already and going out and getting him?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying early on. I mean, in real terms, though, if they're going to do that, I think they should have had the succession plan. And if they had someone in mind, when Ole was under a little bit of pressure last time or the time before that, I mean, there's been so many opportunities if they wanted to swap. Now, football management is a moving feast. You can't just say, right, we'll wait forever because that's our next. These great managers are going to be in post, in the blink of an eye. So if they wanted Conte, let's just say, for argument's sake, then they had to swap, a couple of months ago before he gets the next job. Now, who's left on the market now? It's all right having a succession plan, but you can't go to any manager and say, do you know what? When the next time is right, we'll have you as a manager, and expect that manager to wait a year, 2 years, 3 years. It's very, very difficult to do that. And again, this is not a normal football club you're talking about. This is Manchester United. So there's only 5, 6, 7, 8 managers on the planet that are big enough to take over this job. So you can't, the likes of, Tuchel would be good enough, but he's already taken now. Pochettino, that's who they should have moved for when he was available a while ago. And he was for free. He was sat there doing nothing, twiddling his thumbs. And all of a sudden they missed the opportunity. But all the other great managers are all taken at the moment. It's real. It's very, there's hardly anyone available apart from the likes of Zidane. And, I'm just not sure about that one. So, yes, succession plans. but it's when you're trying to hit the bullseye like Manchester United are, I think it's very, very difficult. And now I think they've got to try and make sure this appointment is perfect. And as I say, if it takes 3 weeks, then great. If it takes 3 months, then fine. They're just going to have to suck it and see. But don't go and just appoint someone for the sake of it because they're available. This is one of the biggest jobs at the most important time. This next one has to be perfect.
It certainly does. Michael, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Lovely to see you. And no doubt this conversation will continue to roll on until Manchester United do eventually find